This month is Disability Pride Month, and we're excited, changing the lighting, we're excited to present here many films. Tonight's film is part of our celebrations, and it's especially good tonight to, I think we all need a good laugh today, so I'm really excited about this one. Our next film is on Thursday night. We're showing the film The Tallest Dwarf, another New York premiere that's going to be part of a collaboration with Rooftop Films. So please join us for that, and of course, tell your friends. Much more going on all year round. We're screening the film. We're bringing back the hit film Bad Shabbos. Who here hasn't seen Bad Shabbos yet? It's a must. Another good laugh, and this one also takes place right here on the Upper West Side. So check that one out. And we're doing also a screening of Hugo here this month in collaboration with the Upper West Side Cinema Center. And we are going to have the author of the book here with us, who's going to tell us not only about his creative experience, but also how it went from book to screen. So be sure to join us for a very special event. ReelAbilities, for those who are not familiar, ReelAbilities is the leading disability film festival in the world and a real resource for disability inclusion and accessibility. So we try to make all of our screenings accessible, and if anybody has any accessibility needs, Connor's here with us and can help you with whatever you need in terms of accessibility. And I'm really excited about tonight's film. We always said in ReelAbilities that we love films that are not about the disability, but rather just included as part of the fabric of the story. And tonight's film is a perfect example, and really one of the funnier comedies I've seen in a while, so you're in for a real treat. Of course, there'll be a Q&A right after the screening, and we have here both the stars who are also the writers and co-directors, Phil Munns, Phil, applause for Phil, Kevin Claydon, Kevin, thank you so much. Evan Landry is the producer and co-writer. And Rebekah Francoz is one of the actresses in the film. Rebekah. As I mentioned, this is all coming from the fantastic festival that really stands on its own and has been doing amazing work in this field too, Slamdance. And here to say a few words, please welcome the executive director of Slamdance. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Isaac, and thank you very much to the team here. Thank you, Connor. Thank you, Caroline. Yes, my name is Peter Baxter, and I'm a filmmaker and a co-founder of Slamdance. And I just wanted to welcome you all here tonight for this tour stop of Unstoppable on the Road. And I want to thank Isaac especially for collaborating with Slamdance on our tour. It's been really important, and it's one of the stops that we have. Our last one will be actually next weekend in Miami at the O Cinema. And this tour has come about because of a need in art houses to improve the representation of artists with visible and non-visible disability in the art house. Now, we've both been working on this in the festival scene for some while, and of course this is an amazing program here at the JCC, but we're not seeing enough of films made by creators with disability in the US art house. So thankfully, with a partner at one of those art houses, they did a research paper, and with that we're able to share that with then the places that we've been this year. And so I just want to sort of recognize then the fact that the US art house scene does recognize the need for change, and we're trying to contribute towards that, and so are you by being here tonight. So, thank you very much again. Unstoppable started with a letter from a filmmaker called Juliet Romeo. Juliet Romeo has sickle cell, and she made a documentary about that, and she simply asked for a panel discussion to be had at Slamdance. And so one thing led to another. We called up some of our filmmakers who have disability themselves. We got Juliet together, and 9 months later we had formed the first programming team for Unstoppable, which has continued to grow at Slamdance, has become a really big thing for us at the festival. And as I thank you for recognizing our efforts, but of course you've been the trailblazers, and you especially with all of the work you've done over the years in helping filmmakers that we're now trying to further support. So thank you, Isaac. And then the program has grown in strength, and cut to last year where the Unstoppable team felt that we should do more to expand Unstoppable outside of the festival. And so with Tori Baker at the Salt Lake Film Society, the lady that did the research paper, this is how this tour has been formed. So I just wanted to give you that story, give you some context. Really hope you enjoy Racewalkers. I'm looking forward to the Q&A, and thank you all for coming again. Thanks.
Very much. We have one of the actresses from the film, you remember, Rebekah Francoz. Thank you so much. Then we have our two stars and co-writers, co-directors, Phil Moniz and Claydon. Thank you both so much for being here. I think that's everyone, right?
Yeah.
Just waiting for the captions. Thank you so much for this wonderful film. Where did this all start?
It started with Evan Landry, who's not only a producer of this movie, but a writer with Phil and I. He saw Racewalking and basically came to me and Phil and was like, this is a really unique sport, it'd be great in a movie, and then we sort of, the three of us, thought about it pretty briefly, like what kind of a movie could feature that, how it would work, and then we just brainstormed from there, really. I mean, I wish there was a much more like profound answer to it, but it's just, as writers, you just kind of come up with ideas and build from there, pretty much.
I have to say that one of the things that struck me about the film was the chemistry. Is that something that was created in the script, on set? Did you work off a very tight script and got to stick to every word, or was it more some improvisation?
I mean, I think the best improv in the movie is stuff that we weren't doing. It was, our other cast, like Becca and Bryk, who plays Kurt, and Robbie, who plays Ched with the glasses and the muscles. But I mean, the three of us, and Kevin and I specifically, we've known each other since we were 2. So, the dynamic of, me being frustrated with him being an athletic goofball is real. And yeah, it's so I mean, we had done some other projects that were kind of trying to capture that dynamic, and we really wanted to put that kind of on screen. So it's something that people seem to respond to, but that stuff is pretty close to real life. I mean, the characters are obviously quite different, but I mean, the dynamic I think is pretty similar.
Rebekah, how did you fit into this crew? How did you jump in there?
Evan Landry is my husband-to-be. Never did, no. Basically, Kevin and Phil were living with Evan when I met Evan, and then the pandemic happened, and I ended up quarantined at their place for a while, and Kevin and Phil were generous enough to help me with self-tapes, and I would help them, and we figured out we like working together, we would make each other laugh. And then they wrote this movie, and I was lucky enough to have them cast me.
We had Becca in mind from the start. Obviously, I mean, she's such a great actor. You can tell from her performance in this movie. And so it's another thing for us that just sort of seemed to work out, where we we can put all of our best friends who we know and who we like and who we trust creatively in it. And it's just
yeah, it was just so much fun. I think the dream always is to be able to work with your friends. And we had such a wonderful time on this movie. It was really a joy to work with Kevin and Phil. They're just really great leaders, and Evan as well, of course.
I think, a lot of the cast were friends before as well, which was great. And it's even Robbie and Italia, who play Ava, are married. And so there was just a really strong community and kind of family dynamic on set from day one. Being a very low budget film, we couldn't afford trailers, obviously, so everyone was just sitting in a tent together, and I think that fostered like such a great community with the actors. It was just a really good vibe on set. And I think that kind of comes through on screen.
So let me ask you a little bit more about the actual production. I know it's Canada, and I know they'll produce anything, but you came with a pitch saying Racewalkers. We're going to make a comedy about Racewalkers. How did this happen? How did this come to be? How did you actually? I mean, it's not a nothing production. Obviously, this takes some funding. How did you get this made?
Well, we were lucky enough. Kind of the first piece of the financing came from Telefilm Canada and another body called Ontario Creates, which are like government sort of funded arts programs. And then we had to put the rest together through the ducking and weaving of private investment and all that kind of stuff. But we basically when we did our application, we partnered with Collective Pictures, who's the production company on the film, and they really helped us sort of shepherd it through that whole Canadian production process. But I mean, what I would say about it is there's a lot of kind of labor of love in it. I think literally every single person that worked on this movie was not doing it for money, because there wasn't any. And I think a lot of what we were able to do from kind of a financing standpoint really ended up as much as it could on the screen. And I think, I don't know, Evan can speak to the actual stuff about producing it, because he's much smarter than me when it comes to that. But I think the movie in the end, whatever the number ended up being at, what's on screen is probably much more valuable than that, just because of all the favors that were pulled in and all the great people that came in to work on it. So we were very lucky.
Evan, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, Phil said it pretty well. We were very lucky to have support from so many different people and funding bodies in Canada. I mean, it's Telefilm's very supportive, and we're supportive throughout and are continuing to be. I think people kind of really were drawn to the script and drawn to Kevin and Phil and the vision for the project. And through that, we were able to put together such a strong team who kind of brought on more connections. And we were able to do a lot with a little, and we're really grateful to everyone that helped us with it.
I'll ask one more question, then we'll take some questions from the audience. I know some people were anxious to ask. What I mentioned at the beginning, of course, that we love at ReelAbilities, we love films that are not about disability, but rather just completely inclusive. And I think this is a prime example. And thank you, by the way. I get asked constantly in interviews. I'm asked about that, and now I have another good example to give. There are not enough of these films being made. There were, I believe, maybe 2 references within the film. Was that something you thought about? Was that something that you just took as natural and therefore didn't have to think about? How did you approach that? And was there any pushback?
I normally like to make Kevin answer these questions just because I think it's funny. I mean, yeah, a lot of that was intentional. I think, we felt very grateful to be able to screen as part of Slamdance's Unstoppable program. There's actually a couple of filmmakers here that were also had film screening at the festival in LA. So shout out, thanks for coming back. But I think for me, when it comes to sort of disability on screen, I think there's room for kind of both approaches, and I think they can have equal importance in terms of accessing these stories for people that can relate to them directly, or just everyone, because I think anyone who has a visible or non-visible disability, we're all just people, and I think there's very important stories that need to be told directly, and I think there's also a value in just showing people that are a guy who's passionate about a stupid sport that you need to be tall and lanky to be able to do, and you can't do it. So I think there's space for both, and I think, at least for me, the intention was to kind of make it part of the fabric of the film, rather than really focusing kind of every single story beat on it and that sort of thing. So hopefully it was successful, but that was sort of my approach when we conceived of it.
We need to see more of it. People with disabilities make up a little less than 2% of the people we see on screen, but make up 25% of our society. So this is making a difference right here, and this is how we love to see it represented in the most natural way. I will ask one more question, and that is, I had to ask this: what movies inspired you to make this film? Have people asked you that already?
Yeah, I mean, we're big sports guys. Yes, I was tracking the Jays game while we were watching the film.
The Canadian.
Yeah, Canadians. We're big sports fans. I know for us, we looked at a lot of films like, we grew up watching Happy Gilmore and Cool Runnings and sort of those kind of classic sports comedies. Whether it's, because of the comedy or because of like the endearing parts of the story and that sort of thing. Those are some of my favorites, and we were kind of sort of trying to capture those things that maybe we haven't seen so much in sports comedies recently, but I think there's still kind of room for, without being, too referential or just trying to rehash the same thing.
I mean, our opening is just we just looked at Days of Thunder and like, well, we're gonna do that, so let's just do that.
Great.
And Major League is another one too. Major League.
Fun. Definitely plays in beautifully to that. And I kept, as I'm watching, I'm like, what? I feel like this has come from other places, and
The 90s. That's right.
Yeah. We're all old.
that's where it came from. We'd love to take your questions too, so please raise your hand and we'll pass a microphone around. And I already see a hand up over here.
Okay,
Wait,
just
just
one
wait for the
moment.
mic
Sorry.
so we
Oh,
can
big options.
get it in the system.
This is sort of two parts. One, how long did it take you to train for the race walking? And two, how good are you at it now? Like, would you be good in the real world of this?
Oh, I'm very good.
Okay. How close are you to the Olympics?
I'm not close to the Olympics. I think so. We reached out to the race walking community is quite small actually.
Shocking.
Yeah, shocking.
Very niche.
So we reached out to like one of the top coaches in Canada, and who like trains all these Olympians, and he was like, yeah, I'm in. So basically, he trained me for I think 2 months, probably 8 weeks, something like that. And we weren't going every day. It was, and then I would just sort of go. I would do my own sort of training based on a program that he gave me every morning for like. And then Robbie Amell jumped on board probably 3 weeks before we went to camera, and then we had our other cast who became the Racewalkers in the movie. Some of them are professional racewalkers. One of them was in the Olympics and won a bronze medal. And the rest of the sort of the cast member Racewalkers trained as well. But it was a very strange summer in my life training for racewalking. I got heckled quite a few times.
Yeah, the two fun facts were, one of our race walkers was Evan Dunphy, who was a Canadian Olympian. He won bronze in Tokyo, and I think he got 4th in London. So very close. But the other fun fact was Kevin neglected to tell anyone but me the day that we went to camera. We shot all the race walking the first week, that he dropped a weight on his foot and broke his toe right before we shot all of the race walking. So we intentionally didn't tell Evan about it until after we were done shooting, because we figured that would freak him out.
Robbie Amell knew.
Robbie knew.
And he laughed.
And our costume designer, because she had to get him new socks every day because they were bleeding.
Yeah. It was
I
great.
did
It was
not
a great
find
time.
out until we wrapped, which I was very grateful for.
Question up on top.
Thank you so much for sharing the film. I cannot believe, is this your guys' first feature film?
Yeah.
That's incredible, like the pacing and how efficient everything was in the comedy, so congratulations. I was wondering, did you guys have kind of like an impact campaign or any kind of like special screenings prior to Slamdance, or ways of nonprofits to kind of work with other than ReelAbilities, and how that kind of caught on the plan?
No, Slamdance was our first screening, like period. Really, it was. So we didn't do anything before it. No, we in fact, we basically finished the movie like just a few weeks before Slamdance, like just the final things.
Yeah, the final.
So no, when we went to Slamdance, we were like, I hope this movie works. Like, we didn't. We really did not.
I need some race walking skills.
It's the hardest job, like running the mics around.
First, I want to say thank you for the great production. Wonderful. Have you guys considered doing a sequel going to the Olympics or winning the Olympics?
Yeah, so I mean, we do get this question sometimes. Like, obviously, we would love to. I wonder how much legs that like a story about race walking would have. Does anyone want to watch more of it? I mean, one thing about the Olympics is they're very strict about anything involving the Olympics in terms of showing it or referencing it and all that kind of stuff. I mean, look, like this is our first feature. We're trying to work on our next projects. If someone wants to come and give me a bunch of money to make a sequel where they're at the Olympics, I'm sure Kevin and Robbie would be down to
We could
get back
we could figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah, get back in.
We have some ideas. We just need a lot more money to do
Yeah.
the Olympics.
We kept all the tiny shorts, so we'll
And the sunglasses.
and so,
But what's most important is actually that the movie will need to have a following, and when it gets that cult following, then a sequel can happen. So that's your job, and you guys have to tell your friends and let people know that this film is out there so we can see it. How can people find out more? How can people support this?
So we're actually doing a number of more festivals coming up. I don't actually know which ones have officially been announced, so I'm not going to say them now at risk of breaking that confidentiality. But thanks to the success at Slamdance, we got picked up by a number of others that we've already screened at and have a lot more coming. And then the film was picked up for international sales by Protagonist. And so they're working on selling it right now. And so the plan is to do an early 2026 release. Don't know what that's going to be just yet, but hopefully some theatrical and then definitely some streaming. You can follow it on Instagram at Racewalkers something.
movie.
Racewalkers movie. I should know that.
Just like our title, we're super creative with all of our like branding and.
But yeah, there's a lot of updates on the Instagram account. There's going to be some, I think, festivals in Canada, hopefully a couple more in the US. Actually, yeah, Kevin and Phil are going to Seattle in 2 weeks for Vashon International Film Festival, or Vashon Island Film Festival. I think that's the next US screening, and then more to come, hopefully.
And practice your race walking. I want to thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Of course, Slamdance Unstoppable Films. Thank you so much, and look forward to seeing you all at other screenings. Thursday night we have The Tallest Dwarf, and please join us for that. Thank you very much.